Welcome, fight fans, to another edition of Deep Waters here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel, where we take a deeper dive into boxing's top stories. I am George DeMattelis alongside the champions, Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi. And gentlemen, we have to talk about this Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney fight because it's coming up in about 2 weeks' time. We know that Ryan Garcia has had some, we'll say, some issues on social media concerning his mental health, but he has to put it together in the ring against one of the best fighters on the planet. Chris, if Ryan Garcia loses this fight, is his time as a legitimate contender over?
Even before talking about whether he's going to win or lose, I can't believe that we're here. I mean, a couple months ago, I was like, there's no way this fight's happening. A couple weeks ago, really. Now we're 2 weeks away. It's right around the corner. It looks more and more like it is actually going to happen, which is a good thing. I want to go back to New York. I want to see this fight at the Park Place. So I think a lot of people are going to be happy that the fight is actually going through. Now, in terms of Ryan Garcia and his ability, what kind of condition he's going to be in while he's there, that we're really not going to know. I mean, he is a wild card. One, obviously, from some of the off-the-wall things that he was saying, some of the off-the-wall things that he was doing, drinking wine in camp, talking about smoking weed at the press conference. There's all those kind of iffy things that make you think like, ooh, man, is this guy going to be ready for the fight? But at the same time, listen, that speed and that power is not going anywhere. He can roll out of bed and have that. So he's a very dangerous guy. He has that ability to change a fight with his power. He's got lightning quick speed, and he can pull that trigger. But is he going to be prepared for a guy like Devin Haney, who is, I mean, he checks all the boxes when it comes to being prepared for a fight. He is going to be in absolutely great shape. He is going to be physically ready for the fight. He's going to be mentally ready for the fight. They're going to have a game plan. And for everything we've seen from Devin Haney, you know that he's coming prepared. I cannot say the same thing about Ryan. In fact, I can say the opposite. But that's kind of like the dichotomy that we got with these two fighters is why we're so interested. If he loses here, it's hard to say. You got to look at it like, well, a loss, he's lost to Devin Haney and he's lost to Tank Davis.
Yep.
Literally two of the best fighters in the world, and guys who are on almost everyone's pound-for-pound list. So it's hard to write him off that quickly. If he goes out there and puts up a complete dud, that's a different story. If he goes out there and gets completely outclassed, shut down, stopped, or if he quits or something along those lines, I think that's going to hurt his stock a lot more than him going out there and fighting tooth and nail and losing a decision. But so I think it doesn't matter if he wins or loses as much as it matters how.
And a lot of people thought that he quit against Tank Davis. That's some of the opinion.
Well, self-admitted. I mean, I went to bat for him saying that he didn't, and then he came back and said, yeah, I could have got up. I was like, well, that's quitting.
There you go. All right, Paulie, what do you think? If Ryan Garcia loses this fight, is his chances or his time as a legitimate contender over?
I guess, it really is going to come down to what Chris the champ just said. I mean, it's basically, how he loses. He's only going to have lost to two big names, two of the best fighters in the world, in Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney. And the Gervonta Davis fight was pretty non-competitive. So I think I can't really see him winning this fight. It's very, very difficult for me to see him winning this fight, especially that Haney had such a stellar performance against Prograis. It really raised his stock in my eyes as far as the ability he has at this level and even at this weight class. Ryan, on the other hand, he didn't look really great coming back after the Davis loss in the win against Duarte. Nothing really was that impressive. So nothing leads you to believe that he's going to be able to handle what what Haney brings to the table. The only thing is, can he have a moment of even, he has a big power, maybe one big moment where he gets even a flash knockdown of Devin Haney. Think about it. He could lose one-sidedly, and even a flash knockdown of Devin Haney would be like losing with good grace.
Be a saving grace, yeah.
Because people expect so little of him in this fight. And that's probably where the question comes in is at the end of him at world-class level if he loses this fight, because people can't see him being competitive here, and people know he was not competitive against Davis. So you start to wonder, is his ceiling just below that world-class level where he can't even be competitive at a high level? It's one thing to lose at a high level. It's another thing where you're showing you don't even belong in the ring with these guys. What you're looking for here, personally, from my opinion, is can Ryan be competitive in the fight? I think you're going a little bit, it's a bit of a stretch to think, can Ryan win the fight? I'd have a hard time believing Ryan can win the fight, but can Ryan be competitive in the fight? Maybe there's some cases you can make for him. And if Ryan can just be competitive in the fight, he's got such a, I guess, loyal, borderline dumb fan base, that they're not really boxing fans, that he can remain at this kind of relevance where he'll go back, get a couple of wins once again over the Duartes of the world, and then maybe put himself in another big fight if he can be at least competitive in a loss here.
That kind of leads to my next question, guys. If Ryan Garcia loses his fight, but he's competitive, who would you want? Should he be in the ring again? And who would you like to see him fight, Chris?
Rollies.
Okay.
I love that. Listen, I think either way, I think he wins or loses. I mean, that could be his. If he loses, that could be his exit from the top level fights. If he wins, you know, I mean, I think the fight still makes sense because the build up. Or, I'm sorry, not win, but if he still is competitive, I think he still goes that way with a loss. And the fight with Rollies is, I mean, they have a history. The trash talk between the two of them. I wouldn't say it's the highest level trash talk I've heard, but it'll be entertaining to say the least. And I think even for the fight itself could be entertaining. They have a weird clash of styles. Both of them have weird style. You know, obviously Ryan's got that great left hook, but he really just kind of banks on that. And then Rollies, I don't even know what his style is at this point. He really just goes out there and just fights. He's basically like a mugger. But I think it could be an interesting. And I think, I mean, at that point, if Haney is to completely outclass Ryan and make him look bad, then I don't really know what else would be out there for him anywhere near top level.
All right, we'll continue this discussion. If I can get the words out, we'll continue this discussion on the other side here on Deep Waters. Thank you for joining us here on Deep Waters every Monday through Friday only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. All right, let's continue this discussion about Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. And Paulie, we know that Ryan Garcia, his mental health has been questioned recently because of the very bizarre things that he's put on social media. How much does his mental health play as possibly an excuse if he doesn't win or is if not competitive against Devin Haney?
Yeah, the term mental health has been probably something what I've heard in probably the last 10 years or something. You know, so it's been making leaps and bounds into the public consciousness. And I think there's a place for the conversation as far as some people having mental health issues. But I think, unfortunately, more times than not, when the term mental health is used, it's just to basically, we used to just call people idiots in society. They were just dumb. And now they're, you know, we excuse them and make them normal, but they're normal. It's just they have mental health. No, that's an idiot. He's just an idiot. I mean, most of the time that I've noticed, you know, as far as suicidal situations and things like that, I think there's a lot of things on the table more so than just mental health. You know, people can't pay bills. You know, you have an economy that's terrible. You know, people have families to run. I think those are more the things that cause that kind of depression and that kind of suicidal thoughts a lot of times, because people really can't handle the pressures of their life, because this system of things really brings those kind of pressures more so now than ever before in history, right? In terms of humanity's history, things are more expensive and everything. So I think when you bring on mental health and the issues that need to be addressed, it's more so the systemic stress that is brought onto people from this system. You know, a spoiled idiot, if you tell him he's got mental health issues, you actually enable him, you know, or him or her, you know, and what I noticed is since this mental health thing has been really getting pushed, it's been really the spoiled idiots that have benefited the most. You know, people are still suicidal. There's still a high suicide rate in society. So it's obviously not the fact of addressing mental health that helps anything at all. That's the issues are more so the things that I mentioned before, and that's why people have those kind of problems. But the people that have been able to benefit the most are these spoiled idiots by needing attention because they're spoiled and they're idiots, and so getting the attention any idiotic way they can get it. I think Ryan Garcia sort of falls into that category. You know, he's kind of comes from money. He's kind of immature. He says outlandish, dumb things that make no sense. He acts very spoiled, you know, and an example is when he was pulling out of fights a couple of years ago for using mental health as an excuse. And then I found him in Miami at the Mayweather versus Logan Paul press conference, literally like the next day or 2 days later, you know. Meantime, he's pulling out of professional boxing matches, you know, where people are investing money and so on and so forth. He has a contract. So, you know, again, these are things spoiled idiots do. And then we just enable it by calling it mental health. I don't think there's any real issue with Ryan Garcia aside from the fact that he's probably an idiot, and so, you know, he's probably got some growing up to do, more so than that. I think maybe calling him an idiot is a bit harsh. Probably he's got some growing up to do. I get it. This generation is a bit immature. Every generation matures a little bit later. Every generation that passes, you know, my generation, the people older than me thought my generation was, you know, not mature for our age and whatnot, and then eventually we get there, right? So I think Ryan is sort of a sort of the same thing. But I think people don't really mature they mature even slower in this generation because you enable the idiocracy, and you reward the idiocracy. And I think the idiocracy has been rewarded for Ryan Garcia instead of him, paying consequences for it. And getting this kind of fight, for example, is one of those things that enables it. He's popular and he generates money. And honestly, the fact that you really don't have to promote the fight that much because he's got an idiot fan base that will probably just buy it anyway because they're mostly not boxing fans. It sort of goes to show you the generation that he's in and probably why a guy like that is so popular. There's sort of a plateau as far as where the intelligence reaches here in this generation, and it's not that bright. And yes, I'm gonna sound like one of these boomers and whatnot, but I gotta call a spade here. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I don't. And personally, I think everybody will agree here. He doesn't do himself any favors in terms of his ability to put himself in a position to win and maximize his promotability. Because all things said, the kid is still very promotable if he would just get his act together. But he doesn't maximize his ability to win, and he doesn't maximize his promotability by doing these stupid things.
Yeah, that promotability is shown with all his number of followers on social media. Don't worry, Paulie, we won't accuse you of, hey, your kids, get off my lawn. We won't do that to you there. But Chris, what do you make of the mental health as possibly an excuse as to why Ryan Garcia may lose his fight, or maybe just get him to the ring? Maybe that's the biggest accomplishment there.
That boomer Paulie Malignaggi, he's pretty wise. He's pretty wise.
Yeah.
But in terms of mental health, discussion. So mental health is nothing new. I remember, hearing even 20 years ago, I was a kid, taking a mental health day. I remember even my parents talking about stuff like that. So mental health, I don't think is a new thing. What I do think is pretty new is the victim mentality that people are using a thing like mental health to get attention. Now it's like, oh, I'm experiencing a mental health issue. Yeah, we all do. This is a very, very dangerous sport. There's a tremendous amount of pressure when you're in the spotlight. There's a tremendous amount of pressure when you have to prepare for a fight against a world-class guy who's trying to knock your head off. Yes, that's a lot of mental health issues that come along with that. But the idea that you can say that you have mental health issues, you can pull out, you can do this, you can say that, people are then elevating you for that. Oh, he's so brave. You're so brave. That's the big term now. Oh, he's so brave. By admitting that there are these issues. I'm not talking about Ryan. I'm just talking about in general. This is something that's going on quite a bit. It's more of that victimhood mentality, giving too much of what's going on. But also that's this generation, right? You should give everything. This TikTok generation, everything you do has to be on your phone and in your face. And this is what I'm doing right now. I'm buying this at the supermarket. Oh, I'm having a mental health day. I'm this and this and that.
They cry on the phone. They record themselves crying.
Yeah, exactly. What do they call that? That's got a name for it too. But you get these people with these crocodile tears who are on there trying to get likes and for victimhood. And it's just part of the society. Unfortunately, it's bled into our sport, which we're a sport of gladiators and warriors. So it's really interesting to me to see guys that act this way, looking to be victims or looking for
sympathy
from
like
other
that,
people. I mean, this is you're a warrior. Go to war, man. It's different. And like to your point, Paul, it's like past generations look at us now and they're like, ugh, these guys are soft. Yeah. Things have gotten very easy in this world we live in now, and it's a strange time. But in terms of mental health issues and fighters, I'm gonna reiterate, guys, what we do is really, really hard. Being under the spotlight is really difficult. Speaking to the public. Going out half naked in front of 1 million people and going to fight somebody and possibly getting humiliated. This is all really, really difficult, and it causes a tremendous amount of strain, both mental and psychological and emotional, to every single fighter who's out there. But it's really to any sport, man. If you can't handle that kind of stuff, you're not made for the top, and that's as simple as that. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. If you can't handle that pressure that you're going to encounter at the highest level, you're not made for the highest level. Simple as that.
If you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen, as they always say. They often say. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll talk about Ryan Garcia's inner circle and how that could impact his future going forward here on Deep Waters, only on ProBox TV. This is Deep Waters only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. All right, Ryan Garcia. Chris, I want to ask you this. Ryan Garcia, his inner circle, his family, his supporters, where are they at in terms of helping him to get through whatever he's going through here, just to get him to the finish line, get him into the ring there? And how important does he have to make some changes in that inner circle in order to maybe improve or get better get better or further advance in his career?
Honestly, I can't really speak to that. I don't know. I'm hoping that they are all in on this and they know that he's actually healthy and fine and mentally adept and ready to rock. And he's been using this as a ploy to try and get everyone to have their guard down. And he's going to come out guns blazing and he's going to be really prepared for the fight. That's what I hope. Because if it's any other thought than that, then the people around him are using him, and that's a difficult thing to pill to swallow. Excuse me. I couldn't imagine having my friends and family around me in my corner and my team not caring for my safety or my ability to go out there and perform and not be embarrassed just so we can make a buck. Granted, it's a lot of bucks. I understand that, and it can be life-changing money. But these guys, they're not broke. It's not like he's never made money before. And I don't know if this is going to be the biggest payday of his career. It probably is. Tank Davis did really well on pay-per-views as well. So I don't know, but I don't think that this is a make or break or needs to be done right now in terms of the family getting him to the finish line just so we can fight and make that money. Again, I hope maybe they're all in on it. Maybe they're all going to pull the wool over our eyes, and then this kid has been actually training for real and holding up a fake Camus bottle and pretending to be high and actually being in the gym instead of just working out in barefoot in his living room.
On TikTok or something.
Right. Maybe he's spending less time talking to TikTok and more time in the gym, but who knows? But like I said, I would hope that the people around him actually care for his safety and that he's going to go out there and be prepared.
Paulie, what do you think of Ryan Garcia and the role his inner circle has to play here in order to get him into the ring and then improve his career, maybe improve his mental health issues if he has any?
I'm not going to go in the same direction because all this is going to do is create a victim reach once he gets beat. His inner circle didn't have his best interest in mind. We're already preparing the victim reach that he's probably going to go for if he loses the fight. All right, and we've already seen that constantly with Ryan Garcia. He's a victim every single time of everything, even though he's a very privileged kid, and a lot of that is also because he's earned it in his own right. So, I'm definitely not going to give him the excuse on the platter where it's like, oh, you poor thing, you were a victim, so that when he loses, you can say, oh, his inner circle didn't have his best interest in mind. So I'm going to go in a different direction here. Have we seen Ryan Garcia actually his boxing ability? Can we really say we look at Ryan Garcia as a boxer and say he deserved this fight, like he deserves to be in this fight? Or is it just his ability to sell? Like, do you see anything in the Duarte fight that makes him among the elite of the 140-pound division? Do you see him anything in the Gervonta Davis fight that makes him among the elite of the 140-pound division? A division that is very, very stacked with talent and very, very difficult to climb. At what point in time have we ever seen Ryan Garcia and said, wow, this kid is a world beater? Sure, he's showed some good power in some moments, but dude, he's actually not even that good. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy who sells a lot, and they're just pushing him, putting him at the forefront into these big fights so that they can generate a lot of pay-per-view sales.
Paulie, you just gave exactly why this fight is happening. We spoke about when this first got announced. Like, Haney's like, well, they're picking low-hanging fruit that's going to be really expensive. It's low-hanging diamonds.
And from a business perspective, I think this one's actually smart on Haney's part. I've criticized Haney for what I believe was a lack of true opposition in his career for a while. But I think, coming off the Lomachenko win, controversial as it may be, and also the Prograis win, I think, he's on a roll here and he's doing very, very well, and he's matured and coming to his own. He's shown he belongs to this level. I don't think Ryan Garcia has really shown it. As a matter of fact, he may have even been regressing here. Especially you look at just the last two fights alone, the way he looked in the Davis fight, and even the win against Duarte. Was there really anything impressive? Anything that show you, wow, I need to see this guy in a big fight because this guy's dynamite? Or is it just, let's check his numbers. Wow, the numbers are generating. He's getting a lot of views. We need to put this guy in a big fight because he generates a lot of views. If that's the case, it's that meritocracy as far as you're going to make a competitive fight, or are you just going to get a bunch of idiots to buy the fight in bulk and get an easy win for Devin Haney? That's really what it comes down to. So his inner teams being there and saying, oh, is he ready or is he not ready? Listen, dude, you're never going to find people in boxing that are going to say, you know what? I'm not qualified to train you. I like the money that comes to this, but I'm not qualified to train you, or I'm not ready to train you. You're not ready for this, and I don't want to train you for this. I'm going to step aside. That will never happen in boxing, dude. That will never happen in boxing. So I am not going to put the excuse platter out there for Ryan because he grabs at any excuse he can to make himself a victim, and I think this is the one that he'll probably grab. after the fight, just like after Davis, he was making like, nobody called him and nobody patted him on the back and nobody, showed up for him, like as if this is what happens in box. Doesn't this the same thing doesn't happen to other fighters? He made like this is the only he was the only guy that ever went through this kind of thing. So I think he's a professional victim. Victim role player. And I think if you start putting this too much out there, he's already going to reach at this victim role when he loses this fight. I prefer to see a focused Ryan Garcia. And even if I don't believe he's good enough to be at this level, the best possible Ryan Garcia combined with the way above average power that he has very good power. Who knows? Like I said, you may have a moment or two in the fight where you give Haney more trouble than you were expected. And then all of a sudden, it's a moral victory because nobody expected anything from you, and you can kind of carry that forward. Ryan has to show something against Haney that at least forces people to believe he's more than just a YouTuber who's a pretty good boxer and is actually a world-class boxer who was also a YouTuber. And we'll find out if he can do that.
All right, we'll talk the Devin Haney side of this matchup here on Deep Waters on ProBox TV. Welcome back to Deep Waters here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. All right, let's talk Devin Haney. Chris, if you're Devin Haney, with all the madness surrounding Ryan Garcia right now, what do you do to prepare for this fight? How do you stay focused knowing that there's chaos and madness going on with Ryan Garcia?
Well, I don't have to be Devin Haney or I have to be fighting Ryan Garcia to know what's going on here. Listen, I know Devin Haney. I know his team.
Okay.
I'm not worried about him being prepared for this fight at all. They are going to be dead focused. They're looking beyond Ryan Garcia. They're looking down the road. This has always been the plan. I've known Devin since he was about 10 or 11 years old. The first time I met him in Las Vegas, and his father Bill. And dude, this has all been part of the plan. Get to where they're going. It's kind of the Mayweather-esque plan. I'm sure they don't want to hear that because they're trying to make their own way. But that's really what this route is. And they've been thinking about lofty goals for a very long time. This is just another step in the road for them. So it doesn't matter how prepared or unprepared Ryan is. He just has to be Team Haney has to be prepared to go do what they know they can do so they can get to the next big fight, the next big opportunity. Listen, they're going to make a lot of money in this fight. They're going to go on to the next fight. They're going to make more money. They're going to collect more belts. This is just another stepping stone in Devin Haney's career and his timeline.
Paulie, what do you make of Devin Haney and how he has to deal with maybe the chaos surrounding Ryan Garcia and what's going on with that and how it might affect him?
I don't think he has to deal with any of it. I think maybe earlier in camp, the threat of maybe Ryan not making it to the fight, and so you're preparing for Ryan Garcia, and he may not make it to the fight, that may weigh on your mind a little bit early in camp. But I think as you get into the rhythm of camp every single day, nothing in Devin Haney's history shows me that he has an immature approach to his boxing career. He likes the brand he's created. I think they've done a good job with creating the brand, but also you don't create a brand this strong if you don't love what you do. So I think it's very, very obvious that Devin Haney loves boxing and he loves to box because he wouldn't have got this far without this passion he has for the sport. So I think the same passion you've always had for the sport applies here. It doesn't matter what your opponent, his antics are doing. It's the passion and dedication for the sport that eventually carries you through. And I can see Devin Haney not really being bothered by any of this. And I haven't really noticed him being bothered by any of this.
I get the sense that Devin Haney, two words come to mind: consummate professional, when I think of Devin Haney and his career so far in this situation with Ryan Garcia. All right, Chris and Paulie, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you. Don't forget Deep Waters every Monday through Friday here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel.